Get your tacos and unhealthy amounts of Mountain Dew. Sit your ass down. It's time for the Hosscast.
That's right, folks. It's time for the Hosscast. We don't have anybody in yet from what I'm seeing, but for those of you who will be joining us in a minute, welcome. I'm your new favorite person, Wilson Fist. With me, as always, is the revered Reverend Crow and this lovable scamp down here, Doomsayer.
Oh, hello.
So, as stated earlier, we've been in talks, and this all started off with something with Fox Marsh. But love you, Fox, but we have to do the whole wait for the planets to align, and then Fox will rise from his sarcophagus and answer only one message, and then go back into the Fox sleep for 100 years. So
yes,
we found
we can go there.
So Crow and I put our heads together, and we went and got old Doomy down here, and we decided we're going to bring you guys a whole other side of our geekdom outside of wrestling. So this week, for those of you who understand where the title of this week's episode comes from, you pass our test, and you can be our friend. So this week, guys, for the first episode, we're going to be talking about villains. Some of our absolute favorites, as a matter of fact. There's a pretty big list of those. Honestly, we all sort of come off as the villains in our own way, I guess.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, personally, I know who my favorites are. I'm gonna go to you guys, Doom. So, who are some of your favorites? I mean, it doesn't matter. Comics, anime, movies.
Why don't we start with I mean, it's a little offsides on some people, but Andrea Beaumont from Batman, when she was a Phantasm. Remember Master?
Oh,
Phantasm?
yeah.
Absolutely one of my favorites.
I thought the look of the character was absolutely phenomenal. That stuck with me for the longest time. It's really simple, but it was so effective for what they used it for.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like how it was, and it was also one of my favorite villain looks at the time, because it was the Grim Reaper kind of look and everything like that.
Right.
And it was just one of those things that me is when I was younger, and then kind of because I was always used to seeing the male villain. You got your Joker, you got your Penguin, you got Doc Octopus, all that stuff. And then you see that and the love interest in the story and everything like that, and there's a twist, and it shows you the women could be just as sinister, if not even more sinister than the guys.
Oh yeah, it
all depends on the backstory, to be honest. They don't. A lot of them don't ever really start off as villains. They're always just people like you and I. And then things happen. It's the villain art.
It's kind of why the Joker falls into I mean, he's probably not even in my top 5, but one of my top 10 favorite villains, simply because of that whole all it takes is one bad day.
Yeah.
Look how many villains are really just broken heroes. They just really wanted to do something good, but the world said nah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that kind of segues onto my second pick. I can't really pronounce the last name, but Anton from No Country for Old Men. Straight up, that was the most despicable thing of an actual psychopath. And the fact that when you're watching it and it's uncomfortable, and he's like, heads, you survive, tails, you die. And then that little shooter thing that he had, it was unexpected. And, watching that, and, with us being with characters and stuff in general, a lot of people generated from Anton in general, and inspired so many things and multiple geekdoms. So
hi, Havoc. Tell your friends we're live.
Yeah.
Tell them to come watch. It's a good time.
Hell yeah. But, and then another one, Crow and I know often too well. And I think you would agree, even though it was more of a sad backstory, but the Candyman, Tony Todd's Candyman.
Oh yeah. All he wanted was to just, live a happy, free life.
Mm-hmm. And then, all that bad shit happened, and say his name 3 times, and he pops up. Not a lot of people give Candyman that much love, and it's a great series. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, granted, it was like, what was the backstory with like Tony Todd? He said when he had all the bees in his mouth, he would get like $100 per sting, and like he had like I think probably like $1,000 or two.
I know I was reading like the original, the whole Errol Flynn Robin Hood. Like the people that were getting shot with arrows were actually getting shot with arrows. They just had like really thick padding on, but they were getting like they were getting paid like an extra. I think it was like a couple $100 for every arrow that they took. So there were some guys up there with the padding, like, nah, try it again.
Oh yeah. I guess another one right here, the poster on this side, aliens, xenomorph, just an absolute killing monster. Like what is it? It's an alien. You went into its area, it's gonna kill you. They don't care who you are. I mean, and granted, yes, they had the human one, but
I feel like that was something that sort of took me out of the original Aliens versus Predator, though. Like I went into the movie expecting like, you know, two of my favorite sci-fi monsters going head to head, and like they sent these hunters in, or like I know they were like trainees or whatever, but still, like 5 minutes later, there's only one left, and I'm like, they didn't even get to a xenomorph.
No, the Predator just went through, and I think the second one didn't like two of them like mate or something, and it just kind of ruined the whole thing.
I think it was like the one of them came back. One of the dead aliens, one of the dead Predators came back with like the aliens implanted in the body, and they were going to do the whole burial ceremony, but I'd have just burned the body, guys.
Yeah. Everything you just gotta burn it straight up. But me being excited for Romulus coming out, or Romulus, I can't pronounce it right now. I'm mildly hungover. I'm not gonna lie. So I went out, had some drinks, did a lot of dancing, had some fun.
Well, so. I think that's one of the things about the xenomorphs, though, is it's not even that they really have a purpose. They're just that's what they do. They kill, they breed, and then they kill more. Like that's. It's not like they have some grand plan to take over the universe. That they're just this horrifyingly evolved alien being that
it's basically like a rule of nature if you think about it, like a true to God rule of nature. If you are in their area and they don't recognize you, they're just going to kill you. Yeah, and that's just it's like nature at its finest. You know, you would see monkeys kill other monkeys because it was in the wrong area. You know. That's what Alien was, and I like that. I mean, I know like in the third one or fourth one where they try to humanize it, and they had like the half human with the skull. Even though it was a cool design, but Prometheus was. But I'm just gonna say I'm getting tickets for Romulus with a friend. We're gonna go see it in IMAX. And it's gonna be big. I'm hoping it's good. I mean, Covenant was nice, and I think was it Prey that was on Hulu for Predator did a lot of justice for the other Predator movies. Yeah. But
I absolutely love that after Prey came out, it had the popularity that people immediately jumped on. Like, now we need to do one in like feudal era Japan.
Oh yeah,
dude, I would love that.
But those would be like
like someone laid out an idea of like the full grown predator, and he's teaching his youngling about the hunt and everything, and they come to feudal Japan and ends up against like a samurai and his understudy, and just this whole idea they came up with, and I was like, that's fucking brilliant. I'd go see it multiple times.
Oh yeah, I think it would be excellently executed if with the right director and the right vision. I mean, it's tons of them. It's just as long as they don't like, because what was it that they had The Predator, which was like half an action but half a comedy movie. Yeah, it came out. I didn't mind it, but it was just like they're giving them like the Freddy Krueger Chucky treatment now, and I'm like, it's an alien being. It's a killer, like that's just, and that's why too I picked like the Xenomorph over like Michael Myers or Jason, because you got their backstories and you understood their human element on how they became. But like the alien, like I said, the Xenomorph is just like the Predator.
It's just
just straight up, like there's no mercy to it, and I'm like, that's honestly scarier almost than any serial killer, because you can almost stop a serial killer sometimes, even if they're at their cold deadest.
Yeah.
If they have something that just triggers a memory, then they're like, hold on a minute. But that thing, Xenomorph? Nah. You're in its way.
Well, that's kind of like one of mine, at least with DC Comics, is I really liked the concept of Doomsday, especially when I started getting into what Doomsday is and how he was created. Like the fact that they took like basically a Kryptonian child or something like that and just kept throwing it out onto this harsh world, and it would get killed and they'd remake it, but it would be, impervious. So eventually it evolved into, yeah, you might be able to beat it, but can you get rid of it?
Nope.
And it has no remorse. It has no, it just wants to destroy everything because all it's ever known is everything wants to destroy me.
Yeah. Another rule of nature. You live what you grew up with, and unless there's different, places that you go to and get treated differently, you're going to stay the exact same. And they knew the exact spots were going to be the same exact emotion of negative, to the point where they made it that type of killer.
And then it just got unleashed on the world.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy to watch because Doomsday is not even real. I don't even feel like he's considered one of Superman's biggest villains, especially when you've got Lex Luthor, Mongol, Darkseid, these characters he deals with regularly. But Doomsday is that one that when he gets loose, Superman's eventually had to be like, okay, look, what if we, hear me out, because we've tried everything else, what if we put him in this thing where he's displaced from time and space and he can't hurt anything and nothing can hurt him? Well, what if somebody breaks him out of it? That's the funny thing. If they break him out of it, it'll teleport him to another place that only I know about. Like, Clark, I think you're getting a little deep with this. You people don't understand. I'm so tired of dealing with this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was one of few to actually, they both beat each other to death, but got Superman to that point of death.
Right.
I mean, I know it was Superman Doomsday, which is loosely based on the death of Superman, which is one of my favorites that I've read because, yes, when a lot of times, it's not with everybody, but I know when we're younger, we have, I got to push, when we're younger, we always see the hero, but as we get older, we appreciate the villain, and we like to see the opposite of the hero.
You start understanding a little more how the villain came to be. Like, no, I get it, man. The world can just be shit. And when it pushes you to that point, some people just break.
Yeah. But that was like I said, that one I think Doomsday I think might have been the animated one. Bane breaking Batman's back. Yeah, that's a.
I do have to say, that whole the Nightfall storyline, I love the concept of it because Bane just what if I let all of his villains out at the same time?
Yeah.
For the next couple of weeks, this man's not going to get to sleep, eat. He's barely going to be able to function because Justice is going to have him out here trying to put all these people back in Arkham, which they're still rebuilding because I fucked Arkham up. But after he is so exhausted, he is hallucinating. I'm just going to walk up in the Batcave and beat that man like he owes me money.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. I don't think I'll ever forget the moment where Batman is having that whole inner dialogue, and he's just like, "There's no way I could just let him destroy me like this. I have to fight him. No matter how weak and tired I am, I have to fight back." And he throws his all into a punch right in the gut, and Bane doesn't even flinch, and Batman almost breaks his hands. Oh God!
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Batman.
When Bane does it, when Bane goes through with that panel, you just feel every fucking crunch.
Oh, every bit of it.
Oh yeah.
And then he just walks away from the man like it was nothing. Just the utter disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's either you can see it from the comic depiction is even gore. You just see Batman bent in half,
right?
Literally, and then you feel it. And then even with the animated film or in the Batman live action movies, you heard it, and he's going back to retrain and become better. But it's just I don't think they did that one with Batman versus, was it Batman Forever or Batman versus Robin? Batman and Robin. That Bane. Even though I love the look of it, I think they made that one the most comical.
I found it interesting how they worked Bane into it with that. Like, he's basically a creation of Poison Ivy, which makes sense because Ivy needed like some muscle to do what she can't. Okay, I get you, I follow you. But after reading Nightfall and stuff like that, and then you look at that one like, you guys missed so much.
Oh yeah.
But then I like the way they portrayed him in Dark Knight Rises. Like, the voice was weird, but there was like the things he said. If you listen to him, like, he was brilliant.
Oh yeah. I mean, at first people would make fun of it because it sounded like Sean Connery talking through a cup.
Yeah.
But then when you pay attention to it,
Christian Bale movie where he sounded like he was gargling marbles.
that was the last Batman one. The first one he was like, the second one he was like, the third one he's like, he was a black metal vocalist.
Well, one of my friends made a really good point. He was like, I found a way to get past the Christian Bale Batman voice. And I was like, how? And he goes, well, you have to remember Christian Bale, a lot of that stuff was supposed to be like the early years of his portrayal as Batman. So you have to stop looking at it as Bruce Wayne is doing this voice because he thinks it works. And you have to remember, this is year one Bruce Wayne who has no idea what he's doing. He's just out there with his gadgets fighting crime. And he's doing what a millionaire playboy would think a rough, badass voice sounds like.
Yeah.
Fair. Because like, even with all the training and everything, like, nobody was ever like, no, man, you got to sound tough. So when he gets out there, you know, if I talk like this, they'll think I'm angry and brutal.
Yeah. And I mean, you got like the later one, which is I think a lot of people's favorite one. You know, Michael Keaton, he was like, he didn't really necessarily yell. He was like fine wine, you know, just like that smooth shot of whiskey for people. And it's just like, he was cool, calm, and collect, but he will hit you.
Dude, I love the way you just explained, like that smooth shot of whiskey. It's perfect because there was no point where Michael Keaton had to like yell and scream or like get into that. Like even the whole like, I'm Batman. Like, it was all focused in like the voice was deeper, but he wasn't doing it on a comical level. It was just, enough his actual voice, which was so good.
Yeah, and when something happened, he didn't necessarily yell. He just turned, used any weapon that he needed to use, and that was it. And it kind
of made sense when you look at it that, like, okay, so you hear Bruce Wayne talk, and then somebody who hears Batman talk would probably never piece together the same. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or someone would be like, all right, Bruce, quit doing the voice now. How funny would that be?
All right, Bruce, you can stop.
Yeah, because not even the Joker didn't know that. So
now, to answer TJ's question here, like, no, I haven't seen the new Deadpool yet. Crow, I know you were talking about seeing it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to take a fucking picture and do that TikTok thing. Hell no.
Yeah, I have not watched it yet, mainly because again, I'm still on the fence because of one of the biggest villains in comics, Zeb Wells. If his name were not attached to it, I'd have already seen it 3 times.
Oh, same. Fuck. I hate Zeb Wells.
Nothing to do with it.
I almost tried to go see it like Friday, but every place was packed for like weeks.
Like, I do want to see it because I mean everybody's talking about how good it is, but that's my whole. I just don't want to give money to anything Zeb Wells has got his name on. They're trying so hard to dig him out of the hole he dug.
Dude, they may as well just patch it up and just leave him there with all of his shit. Just bury him under all of his crap.
I wish. Another of the greatest villains in comic history, Dan Slott, is convinced that Zeb Wells is one of Marvel's golden boys.
Oh.
He can take his not so disguised cuck fetish and go somewhere else. Specifically as far away from anything Spider-Man as he could possibly ever be near.
Well, we've got kind of a Joe Exotic, Carol Baskins kind of situation where the second Zeb Wells comes up, you get heated like Joe does.
Dude, it's not just Zeb Wells. Like, it's the whole Quesada cult, as I like to call them. Zeb Wells and Celeste Bronfman are they're just the new ones that got pulled in because they wanted a job writing comics. The main ones I blame are CB Cebulski, Akira Yoshida, you fucking yeah. Tom Brevoort, both of them in their Gwen Stacy waifu pillows. Nick Lowe, you garbage human being, and I mean Joe Quesada over all of them. You abomination before God and man. Just anybody who's had anything to do with Spidey editorial since like 2007, 2008, the brand new day writers. I give me J.M. DeMatteis and J. Michael Straczynski any day. I'll buy every issue. And now Jonathan Hickman, but that's not what we're here for.
We're here for villains.
We're here for villains. I'm talking about my heroes here for a second, but no, pretty much everything Spidey editorial. Like, man, when I tell you, they are some of the most spiteful. They hate you as a comic fan, and they prove it on a regular basis. If you are not on some of their social media just kissing their ass, they will do nothing but gaslight people. That's it. I can't tell you how many times in the last 2.5 years I have been told by somebody in Marvel editorial on Spider-Man, you're just reading it wrong.
I just want to watch them implode. And
like, okay, how am I reading it?
They did it at San Diego Comic-Con. Didn't they?
Oh yeah. There's a lot that's happened at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll get to another one of those points in a second here, but yeah, one of them was somebody made the comment that one of the people on the panel made a comment about the new series, The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, that's coming up. I think it starts in November. That it would have made a whole lot more money if it were The 8 Deaths of Nick Lowe. And people took it like, people immediately jumped on, oh, that had to be Tom Brevoort, because Tom Brevoort's always got some sus shit to say at a Comic-Con. Well, Tom Brevoort basically popped up and was like, yeah, I said it. And then people were like, wow, that's kind of wild for you to be joking about. And he was like, who's joking? Which is not the first time he's took shots at Nick Lowe like that. It wasn't long ago. Nick tried to promote something on Twitter, some series that was about to be starting, and he just like, don't you have to get back to trying to make people like Paul? They just, for whatever reason, ever since he went to the X offices, Brevoort is very heated.
No, I think we're talking about those types of villains. And Crow and I would agree that the last makers before the shutdown of Cartoon Network, before it regenerates, but the last generation of Cartoon Network, whoever those people were.
Oh my motherfucker. Motherfucker. Yeah, you have fucking Mighty Magisword's creator who...
What's so funny is one of my favorite guys to watch was a Classic Man D. He always said, like, well, folks, it's about that time. And he has got a whole series just based around, like, Princess Bubblegum and, what was it, Rose Quartz from Steven Universe, and why both of them are the biggest pieces of shit you could ever meet.
He made him lose his seat.
Yeah, like a whole series of just like, okay, we're back to it. Let me explain another reason Princess Bubblegum is absolute garbage. All right, here we are again. Can we discuss the fact that Rose Quartz started a whole genocide just because she felt like it? Like, and he's just made a whole series of videos, and I'm like, these are the characters that they want people to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, and like if I had like the chance to like wish somebody to have never happened, it'd be Rebecca Sugar. It would be Rebecca Sugar immediately. And they should have kept J.G. Quintel a lot longer, continuously, because that man could have saved the network.
Yeah. Well, I think, isn't he, because it's coming back, I think it's going to be with him in there.
Under Adult Swim, hopefully.
Yeah. See, like those, but, I mean, it's just things behind the scenes, because I remember seeing, like, certain, like, things that a lot of people love, but then the backstory is a complete nightmare. Like just the worst people, like you say, with gaslighters on social media if you don't agree with them, and
he's a cocky prick.
Yeah.
J.G. Quintel is very cocky when he's speaking because he knows he's a fucking genius, essentially, for cartoons. And he doesn't say it out loud, but you can feel it that he knows what the hell he has and what he can offer. I mean, the show Close Enough, that failed miserably because, well, other people got their hand in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
regular show's the perfect freaking show to just light up. but
I love it.
Going out in general.
Like it was so regular show and Gumball. I really actually got into both of those shows. Everything else, I was just
Well, Uncle Grandpa was an atrocity, so
was Pirates. It wasn't worth it.
I will say it took me a minute to really get into Gumball until I really met once I met his dad, I was just like, oh no, perfect. This show's Randy Marsh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's bad that's actually become a thing for me. Like that's if I watch a show and see a character like that, that's immediately the Randy Marsh of the show for me. Like this dude is going to say and do the dumbest shit at any given moment, and it's going to be beautiful.
You know who's the true villain of South Park, right?
Most people would say Cartman, but
Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison's the villain of the show. And Randy's the fucking hero.
Damn.
Randy's the hero. Think about it. Think about all the transformation Garrison has been through.
Oh God, everything. And he just started off as the really effeminate school teacher with the sock puppet on his hand.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely.
And
That's it's the sock puppet that gets him to do bad things. The sock puppet was the one that talks to him. He's the one that does all the bad things. Wait.
Yeah, Garrison is just a whole other level. Like South Park is funny already, but Garrison is a whole different level.
Have they ever? I don't know.
Randy Marsh is always on.
I've been in and out of South Park, but they ever had Mr. Garrison's hand puppet versus Jennifer Lopez with the hands? Just a battle of the hands where they just sit there going like this all day. That needs to happen. It'd be stupid, but I think it would be.
But no, it'll be Mitch Cannon. It will be Mitch Cannon. Yeah, Mitch Cannon. Yeah.
Kong and taco flavored kisses.
He's not Jennifer Lopez. He is Mitch Cannon.
He's Jennifer Lopez. Oh God. So now speaking of the con that's happening, or just finished. I don't know. I don't keep up with it. I just watch for the outrage that comes from it. They revealed something we've been waiting to hear about as far as the MCU for a little while now. And the result was not what a lot of people expected or anybody expected, because Dr. Doom has been cast. And it's Robert Downey Jr.
I knew he was coming back, but it wasn't going to be Iron Man. I had a feeling it was going to be an alternate universe, and I was like,
like an alternate variant or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Timelines, which I'm assuming that's what they're doing. Like this is going to be the world where he didn't become Iron Man; he became Dr. Doom.
Or that's not our real Dr. Doom. Iron Man. Okay, so I saw some people talking about something. It said that there was something where Iron Man and Dr. Doom switched minds.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that on X. A couple of people have been throwing ideas around of like how are they going to do this? Because the first idea that hit everybody is this is a variant of Tony Stark that just went more the evil route.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea, but as somebody who has loved Doctor Doom since I was a kid,
I don't think this is our official Doom.
y'all, Doctor Doom is so much smarter than Tony Stark. It's fucking stupid.
What if this is Doctor Doom's plan to make them have to fight Tony and have to see him during it? So
somebody made the point earlier today. Imagine all the Avengers and all them that are left coming face to face with Doom, and they're having this big problem with him. He's causing all this chaos, and then he removes the mask, and Peter has to see his mentor's face for the first time in all these years. Everything that's happened since, and he pulls that mask off, and it's Tony.
That would be a big.
drive him nuts.
And him
Now would end up getting the alternate universe Spider-Man that it doesn't help. That hurts people because he gets the ultimate betrayal because he's already lost so much. From family members to lovers to friends, and then his mentor becoming evil. Like that's a villain arc right there.
See, and that brings a point I've talked with Crow about before. Like, Spider-Man is my favorite hero, hands down. Spoiler for next episode, but like has been since I was 5. But the more I read, and it's one of the things that's pissed me off since One More Day happened, is they are just on this warpath to make Spider-Man's life as miserable as humanly possible. Everybody leaves him. Everybody betrays him. He never gets any respect from anyone. It's just the universe kicking him in the face every time he turns around. And that's not Parker luck. That's just bad writing. Because eventually, like, what is there to look forward to? What is there to hope for? What's he even fighting for anymore? For a bunch of people who hate him? Eventually, Peter Parker is not such a good person that this stuff won't naturally just break him.
You think maybe with the success of Spider-Man, and a lot of people that became writers for the newer stuff hated Spider-Man when they were little because it was always there as the main good guy, and like, you have to like Spider-Man. Like, maybe might be someone's hidden agenda. I don't know. I overthink a lot of things, but
it's sort of like Superman now in DC. You got a lot of people that like that's why they don't like Superman, was because coming up, he's the hero you're supposed to like. I just don't. He's not my thing. You know,
well, that's why I was just like, I was actually talking with my dad about it because my dad's a Superman fan, right? That's his favorite. But he said, you know, everyone knows Superman as the world's biggest superhero. And I said, he's like, well, what about Batman though? I know Batman. I said, Batman's more the anti-hero. Like, he's there, but it's different. I said, but people relate more to Batman, not because of the billionaire thing, but of the loss, even though Superman lost stuff. But when it was since the 40s, 50s, maybe, you know, here's Superman right there in your face, red tights and underwear, all that stuff. You know, it's like, okay, that's the biggest one. That's the one you're supposed to like more than Spider-Man. You're supposed to like more than Batman. You're supposed to like more than Green Lantern. You're supposed to like Superman #1. And a lot of people, you know, I mean, I saw that, and then the wrong people just buy the T-shirts, and when they have the Superman T-shirts, they're not really nice people.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. There are some points, like, I get it. Like, some people are just really like annoyingly big Superman fans, but I can understand being a Superman fan. I mean, I did grow up on him. He wasn't my favorite superhero. As far as DC goes, the first one I really got into was Green Lantern. So Superman was up there, but, you know, he wasn't like my favorite superhero.
No, I got stuff for the next episode. I got some gadgets myself for hero stuff, but no, I mean, I think it's like Superman. Like I said, the Superman T-shirts now are the tap out of the T-shirt industry. To where you know that if somebody's wearing a Superman shirt, they're not wearing it because of the lore or growing up on it. They just think they're Superman, and it's an ego trip, just like the tap-out shirts of the 2000s. You know?
Oh, yeah. Shit.
Oh, it's a big show. Twisted
honestly,
Killer Juggalo.
I would agree with it simply because, like, back when, Chris Evans first played the Human Torch, and then when they cast him as Captain America, people were like, well, he can't be Captain America. He was already the Human Torch. Yeah, but
it was outside of the MCU at first.
Which, I mean, I will say, when it came to the first Captain America movie, I was a lot more excited to see the villain, because the moment they told me that Hugo Weaving was playing the Red Skull,
that was a nice Red Skull too.
I need to see Agent Smith play a Nazi who was too evil for the Nazis.
Right. The guy's freaking perfect. Like, it was just the greatest casting in the history of Marvel's, like, early days.
And look what they did. Like, that is my one big disappointment. Look what they did with it. You didn't see him again in that role until, like, Endgame and Infinity War. I wanted Red Skull. Like, I could see that being sort of a punishment for him much, much, much later on. But not, like, that immediately. Like, I wanted to, where's Hydra? Like, really bring him in with Hydra. That would have been ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be his whole thing, is like, you cut off one head and two more will grow in its place. You'll never really be rid of us.
Yeah. That was the thing that's just this whole area. That's a whole villain area, is Hydra in general, and almost getting Captain America. Wasn't there one comic where they did have Captain America join them?
Yeah, they did. It wasn't Secret Invasion. Secret.
Yeah.
It was a really short run.
Yeah, it was only a certain amount of. I think it was like 8 issues or something like that. But basically, the Red Skull used the Cosmic Cube to rewrite things where Captain America had always been working for Hydra instead, and Hydra took over the world. But like House of M, a lot of people realized something's wrong. We need to fix it. And then Steve Rogers came back with the American Dream.
Yeah.
I noticed that tends to be a problem in Marvel. There's been a couple of villains that have, you know what? Let's remake the world. And it wasn't bad. But everybody remembered, like, oh, something went wrong. Something's not right here. Things have changed. We should go back. And it usually ends up being very bad.
Uh-oh. What happened to the tailor?
He might have had to pee.
Oh, shit. God damn it, Brownie. My elderly cat is pissed off again.
Oh, yeah.
Brownie, what the hell?
Yeah, I was telling bro, a couple of those. There's actually a couple of stories throughout the Marvel continuity that, like, everything got remade because, somebody got this level of power and decided to do this, and the world got changed into their image or whatever. And it actually wasn't so bad. But then they'd turn around and like, oh, well, something's wrong. Everything's different. It shouldn't be this way. And then they try to set it back. And then when they do, people are traumatized.
Yeah. And it's like...
it's one of the reasons I love Dr. Doom so much. He's one of the only villains that, like, he actually took over the world and then gave it up because he was bored.
That just reminds me of that meme video, man. Where the guy, you seen that one? To where the guy, he's like, I'm so bored today. I decided to get flowers and say, I love you, Steven. Kiss, kiss, love, Laura. And then you hear the guy's wife screaming downstairs and everything. He goes, sorry, man, I was bored. And that was it. That's Dr. Doom almost, just a little elongated and a lot more torture. My
absolute favorite Dr. Doom comic, like, when the Marvel Legends figures first started coming out, they always came with like a reprint of some big comic that the character of the figure was in. The one that came with the original Dr. Doom was a Fantastic Four issue entitled This Land Is Mine. And it was where, like, a couple issues previously, the Fantastic Four had helped like some dude oust Doom. So there was a new ruler of Latveria, and Fantastic Four thought everything was going great. And yeah, we got a tyrant out of position. And then they find out Doom is back in Latveria, so they go there to intercept him. And as soon as they get in contact with him, he's like, oh, yeah, see, right on time. I knew you guys would be showing up. And let me guess, you're going to stop me from doing whatever I'm going to do? Do it without your powers. Oh, you can't do it without your powers? Cool. Then you might want to follow me and help me get my throne back. And then he starts showing them examples like, yeah, you got me out of power and you thought like I was a tyrant and I was being so horrible to my people and they were oppressed and held down, and ask any one of them. And like there's this little girl bumps into one of the Doom bots. It's a guard on the street or something. And it's about to blast her for being out after curfew, and Doom rips the thing apart and is just like, oh, no. This man has turned my creations into an abomination against my own people. I'm going to make sure he dies slowly. Now, you can stay here and die with him, or I can give you your powers back and you can help me. I don't really care. And then proceeded to just walk straight back on into his throne room and took it back by force, like just by himself. Left the Fantastic Four to fight this whole horde of like doomsday robots he had built. And he's like, oh yeah, the dude reprogrammed them to attack us. Y'all have fun with that? I got the point. And then just straight up to the throne room, and the dude starts throwing his weapons at him and everything. And he's just like, did you really think I would even make a weapon that I don't immediately build a counter for? My suit is full of counters for every weapon that you took from me that you're trying to throw at me now. So he literally just walked up, grabbed the dude by the throat, and hung him off the balcony. And the dude's screaming and yelling like, you will never have this land while I draw breath. And he's like, I concur. And they never show you what he...
Can we just admit that Dr. Doom is literally just a way overly god-moded dungeon master? He's literally god-mode dungeon master.
I have yet to see a like world-shattering event, because Marvel has those a lot. I have yet to see one of those where it doesn't come down to there's only one safe place left on Earth. Where's that? Latveria? Vampires are invading the entire planet? Go to Latveria. They ain't messing with nobody in Latveria. Did Null just show up and start raining symbiotes on the planet? Clear skies in Latveria.
Because he's thought of everything.
Mutants getting out of hand? Come to Latveria. Like, it's literally gotten to that point where every time they have a major event, man, the Avengers are getting wiped out. Wakanda's getting hammered. Everybody's getting beat down. And then, man, what are we going to do? We have to look to Doom. He's the only one not getting pelted to death. And if he is, it's because Latveria is the last place standing. This is why Dr. Doom is my favorite. Fuck with me.
You guys ready to hear about my favorite villain of all time?
Sure.
Okay, so I don't know if a lot of you have watched the anime Monster or read the manga, but the Doctor in the beginning of it saves this child who got shot in the head. Well, instead of saving a high-ranking official, he saved the child. And as a result, death happened. And like he had the world looking up to him. Like he literally was about to get major promotions. Everything was going to happen for him. But he saved that child's life over that high-ranking official. So then his life gets torn apart. Everything gets taken from him. And then years later, he finds out that the child he saved ends up causing disaster after disaster after disaster, purely from going up and just talking to people. He just spoke to them, spoke to their most inner monsters. Like, he can go into a whole peaceful village all by himself, and then he can be walking away with just a grin on his face while the whole thing is just in freaking just shambles, fire everywhere. And that's just what he does. He has the charisma to simply just put places into ruin. And there was a part where he dressed up in a wig and then told a child to go look for his mommy in the red light district. And if nobody responded to him, it would mean that the child was never loved. And the kid yelled out and no one responded. And he got his chuckle out of that. So, like, that's all across Germany. This doctor is trying to get Johann. This time after time after time, and everywhere he arrives, there's blood and just carnage and death in the wake. It's just he doesn't look menacing, but what's that?
So I'm gonna have to check that out.
Right? It's one of the most methodical, mangas I've ever read, and it takes place in Germany.
Of course, it does.
And like the main guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, looks like, And so yeah, it literally takes on a lot of those themes. Johann is considered master, but the thing is, he's not looking for a race of people to follow him. No, he's just there to play with their minds and take them the fuck out.
Yeah, and that's the most horrifying thing with a villain. Just they don't really have a reason for it. They just find it fun.
Yeah, ones that just kind of like torture. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons. Like, I'm sure you guys have watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
everyone's watched Game of Thrones at this point. When I was a little behind everybody else. They were getting ready to go into like season 6 by the time I sat down and just power watched the first 5 seasons. Well, everybody kept on the same thing. Oh man, did you get to the red wedding? Did you get to the red wedding? Yeah, I got to the red wedding. And don't get me wrong, the red wedding was awful. But at the same time, how did you people miss Ramsay Bolton?
Ramsay was, yeah.
Ramsay was a piece of work, man. Like, I get it. That point where Theon was just like, just kill me. I would rather be dead. Just kill me. I get it. This man was literally just torturing him for his pleasure. He had no intention of ever letting him go. He had no intention of ever, like, there was no end game to it. He just wanted to fuck him up so bad, he didn't think he was a person anymore.
Yeah, the mutilation and everything, and like eating food that looked like his body parts and just mimicking him and everything like that. It was crazy. During that time, I was watching that. And there was another show I was watching called Vicious, and it was about 2 gay partners, and he was playing a really nice guy on that show. So it was hard to watch him as a nice guy when I was watching him be so fucking evil. Right. I'm like, that guy's a prick. And I'm just in there, and people are just like, but he's nice on the show. I'm like, not in Game of Thrones. Yeah, that one, Vicious, had like Ian McKellen, and Ian McKellen's always been a great villain. Magneto and...
Oh, Ralph, if this is your first time watching through Game of Thrones, like, I love the series, but man, there are certain parts, like, people put a lot of emphasis on, like I said, the red wedding. Everybody, that was their first question. Have you gotten to the red wedding? And that tended to be my response once I got to it. Like, yeah, I saw it, and it was awful, but did you see Ramsay Bolton? Ramsay Bolton is a monster.
Oh yeah, just and he's like normal human looking like everyone else. That would be also another, like, I wouldn't say the best villain, but I think the worst villain is Society. And I'm not talking about that 80s movie where everyone orgies into a monster. I'm talking about Society as a whole. because they'll make
Oh,
the
yeah.
superhero. They'll make the superhero turn into a villain, or they'll have somebody that has a nice young life and then change it right, and that involves the villain. So honestly, the society in general are the ones that are the biggest villains ever.
You know, I'm calling it right now. You know who's going to be my favorite villain by 2025? Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles.
Well, and I like the fact that they take the Ninja Turtles in these new directions like they've been doing recently, like the last Ronin. There you go. There you go. Beautiful. And I remember seeing like images for something like that a long time. Like, 'cause somebody did like 4 different images, and it was like Raph with all the other 3's like broken weapons and their headbands, and one of Donnie and one of Mikey and one of Leo. But it was all supposed to be like, just the image that each one of them had lost all 3 of their brothers and were carrying on. Then they turned it into the last Ronin, and man, that book was so good.
Oh yeah.
The fact that it was who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My favorite of the 4, BT Dubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally, dude.
I mean, when they had the promotional art for who is the last Ronin, and you're just saying, wait, and it piques a lot of people's interest. Like, wait, 3 of them are dead. There's only one left.
I already knew who it's going to be. I already knew who it's going to be.
It was. I mean, it was argument. I won't say what the argument because some people might not have read it yet. But like I said,
Exactly.
I believe all of us can suggest finding this one. They have it. It's about $20 online. Worth it. Absolutely worth it. There is a director's cut. It's a few dollars more, but still, definitely, it's definitely. I mean, but honestly, the original Ninja Turtles were dark, anyways.
Yeah, it was.
They were killers in the beginning, and then it wasn't until the toy companies made them into heroes in
Something marketable.
Yeah, something more marketable. I mean, it was gruesome, so this one kind of brought it back, and this could be the segue to like what they were mentioning about any certain Ninja Turtle. So, I mean, more likely, people would always focus on Michelangelo or Raphael, right? Because those are the most popular. But no one really looks at Leonardo or Donatello of either one of them. Like, okay, those ones wouldn't be. Those are just like a lot of them see him as the hench guys in the back, just like two extras. It's always focused on the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you coagulate it and change it, like, well, you don't know what you're missing out on with Leonardo and Donatello. They may not have the nunchucks or the best looking weapons or whatever, but I'm just like, still, I love what they did with that. Just like, I'm getting into this one because it took years.
Oh yeah.
I know there's multiples of these, but I got my hands on this one.
Like, is that one like the collection of how the different different Dark Batman came about, or is that the actual like the story of Dark Knight's Metal?
This is going to be because I know there's like 3 or 4 extra renditions. Like one focuses more on the Joker who laughs or the Batman who laughs, and all the other ones. And there's like 2 or 3 more that I noticed, and that cost a little bit more right now. But this one is just like the first set all the way through from 1 through 6, I believe.
Yeah.
So this is just 1 through 6, basically.
Like the ones with the origins of the Dark Batman are some of them are just like horrific but wonderfully done.
I mean, I think all of us are fans of the multiverse, of the opposite sides on what happens, because like you mentioned earlier, we always would see Superman or Batman like in the 50s and 60s, like, oh, there's danger. Oh, they're right there saving the day. And then, oh, what if there is something? Well, tune into the next episode, and what happens to the next episode? Not even 5 seconds in, they save the day, Yeah. And it was so like robotic. So having these creative things, which made me fall in love with the What If Marvel comic series. Not so much what they have on Disney Plus, but the comic series.
Yeah.
What if so and so turned into a villain? What if so and so died instead of lived? What if
What if Wolverine had become the Lord of the Vampires? What if the X-Men had failed to stop Inferno? What if Phoenix hadn't died? So many what if stories that I remember reading. They're so good.
Those are one of my favorite ones to check out. It was just because it just. I know you're mentioning vampires. It's not Marvel or DC, but it's Dungeons and Dragons Strahd. I hate Strahd. Ravenloft. Oh, dude.
Like, bro, I don't know if you've ever really looked into Strahd, but Strahd is like the vampire version of that. Like, I just like fucking with people.
Yeah.
Because
if you look at the story, yeah. I mean, granted, it's only like a quick session, but the one session is when they had the Curse of Strahd come out. Like, right when we had the whole set, the coffin set and everything like that. And we were going through, and my brother and I, we missed 1 week because I had work that day. I missed 1 week, and everything turned into shambles because there is a shop you go to, and there is it's not too much of a spoiler. If you notice it, you're going to see it. There is a Strahd voodoo doll. What did they decide to do? Burn down the building with the dolls instead of taking the damn Strahd doll. And what happens? We fight Strahd. I'm a tree gnome, right? That has I'm a monk gnome actually, right? Oh, so I'm a tree gnome monk.
You can actually make that in Baldur's Gate 3, I believe.
And,
yes.
I'm the last one to. I'm literally the last one to survive. And what does Strahd do? Pull out my heart. Everyone else is dead. They try to do like the raven that can transform into a human, but Strahd catches it and squishes it midway. Like, Strahd is all powerful. And they're just like, I'm like, hey, did you guys get the voodoo doll the week that we were gone? Oh, no, we didn't like what the doll looked like, and we burned it down. I'm like, you could have struck him down, and we could have had the thing morph and blow him up from the inside. We had so many options. We had so many things, and we all fucking died. And I was just like, I'm like, damn it, And I mean, I got the box because I think Amazon for like, what was it, in 2020, 2021, they had it for like $50, $40 for like 2 weeks. Everybody has it. Oh, we got, I think, is that ours? A brownie?
Dude, that's like me. A buddy of mine, actually, Rick Boy, went and I think he found a place over in Monroe, and it's a little gaming shop, and he picked me up. Which one? He picked me up the Tiamat.
Yeah.
It was both parts in the Tyranny of Dragons set that he picked me up.
Yeah.
And he found it for a really good deal there. I think he paid about $20 a pop for him. And I was just like, dude, do you have any idea how goddamn hard these are to get? Like, not that they're out of print or anything, but like you could go to Amazon and try to get them, and you gonna pay like twice on Amazon what you did in that little store. And he's just like, well, yeah, man, I know you like D&D, so I just figured you'd like these.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And no, I mean, like that. Actually, what's funny is my first D&D encounter was actually my Ruppus, because I saw it and it said the Hall of Horrors. And I'm like, all right, cool. And they're like, have you ever played D&D before? I said, no, this is my first time. I said, there's many versions. I said, which one are we playing? We started off with 3.5. And they're like, this is the Hall of Horrors.
5.
Yeah, 3.5. And then we went to 5.0. We played 1.4. And I think we played 1 up 2.
Yeah, apparently that's what I've noticed. People just don't talk about 4th edition.
Fourth, I was checking out. It just kind of like went through. It's like, oh, here's 4. Oh, here's 5 now.
Yeah. Which I get, because for a long time I couldn't find anybody that wanted to play D&D simply based on the fact that it was like, do you know trigonometry? Then you can't play D&D. Like, so many people looked at it as like, man, you have to have like a fucking bachelor's degree in something just to be able to swing a sword in this game, which it was a lot more math at the time.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more player friendly. You just have to at least figure out what you're doing. Like, I get why my DM for a while kind of was the villain. He seemed like he was coming off that way. Like, I ask you people for simple things and you can't give me that. No, I get it, dude. Some of these people haven't even read the player's handbook on their character, and they're trying to play this. We have literally just wasted 3 months worth of actual game time fucking off trying to stop a civil war in the desert that has been going on for hundreds of years before any of us even existed. And no matter what we did, we were never even going to slow it down. But boy, we thought we were doing something and completely went off everything else you had in the game.
No. Whenever I told somebody, I said, if you're starting D&D, read the player's handbook. Be sure on what you really want to use, because I started off as a brute, like a brute warrior, because those were the easiest ones to do, because you just go through, attack, and then I was like, okay, I've done that. So then I did more like archer range characters, and then I fell in love with doing like bards,
Yeah,
and monks. And there's more to it, yeah, but once you get it, it's like anything. It's like, with Crow playing Baldur's Gate, that's basically D&D is a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a half elf.
I've got it on my PC and my PS5. It's such a beautiful game.
Yeah.
No, I'm a half elf monk.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, what I'm doing in Baldur's Gate 3, if anyone ever wants to see horror break out just from, melee, I'll be the guy.
I'm currently playing a what was that, Cleric of Bahamut,
Okay.
and I've realized that I am very I want to say chaotic neutral, because I know I just walked up and lied to your face successfully about the fact that your God sent me here to talk to your elders. But I know you're messing with me right now, so I'm going to sling warg shit in your face too.
I will say that, but the bonus about playing actual D&D, with like Baldur's Gate, like I said, I've seen it like with beautiful graphics and everything, and when I get it, I'll get it. But with D&D, especially if your DM likes to drink and things get interesting, because one of my favorite things is that he was drinking, what was it, Fireball?
Oh, no.
And he forgot the monster whatever he turned into, and it was supposed to be a mud monster, but it ended up being a shit monster.
Oh no.
So we're sitting there trying not to prevent, and it was supposed to be like the most like disgusting, vile. Like if you got hit in the face with it, you got poisoned because it was that bad as shit. So we basically had to fight it in the sun until it dried out.
What?
It dried out, and it's just like sit there. It's like, oh no, it's starting to crust, and then
that's where you hit it with Fireball. You just stone oven that son bitch.
Yeah, no, we fought it, and then with the heat of the sun, it started crusting up. And we're like, hold on, before we use any of our best weapons, let's use our least best weapons so we can trash them before.
Yeah, let's try this bullshit.
Yeah, no, we used just like the weakest of swords and rapiers, and just got it and cut it down.
You know what's going through my head now?
Huh.
That scene where they're beating that really heavy son of a bitch in Shaun of the Dead with the frickin' pool cues. That's what I'm envisioning. Just a giant shit monster.
Yeah, that's what it was basically.
The guy that used to DM the table I played at, he ran us up, man. It was like 9-10 months that this campaign took us going through Ravnica. We went from like level, I think he started us off at like level 3, and we went all the way to like level 10. But in all this time, my character is a forge cleric. So my whole thing is fire and, molten stuff and forges and all that. I don't do water.
Yeah.
I don't do water. So he decided, at least at one point, the only way for us to get from point A to point B was to use a water breathing spell and go through this dark underwater cave.
Oh!
So here I am, a dwarf completely based on fire, and me and the bard are swimming through there like, don't look delicious, don't look delicious. And you get about halfway through, and it does, he had us all roll perception, and suddenly that giant fucking eye opens up right next to us, and I'm just like, oh good, this is where the party dies. Or this is where the dwarf dies. So we're trying to fight this thing, and it was an aboleth, which is actually a pretty rough creature to deal with. And everybody's trying whatever crazy shit they can. This thing's got poison and mind control barbs and all kind of shit it can do. Well, at one point, one of the guys at the table looks across at me and goes, "Didn't you just get 5th level spells?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? Don't you have Banish?" "Yeah, why?" "Because Banish is the quickest and easiest way to get rid of an aboleth." My DM immediately turns and looks at me stone faced and goes, "If you use that, it's metagaming, because there's no reason your character would know that that's how you'd get rid of that character. This is an underwater creature. You're based on fire. If you use that spell, I will consider it metagaming and I will spank you." So I wait, like, I did something, like I covered some space, like got closer to the thing and, used that for my turn. It goes all the way around the table and gets back to me, and the DM goes, "Let me guess. You're going to hit it with Banish?" And I was just like, "No, actually, because that's metagaming, and you're right." But you know what's not metagaming? I'm going to use my last bit of movement to swim up to the thing, catch hold of the bard who's busy stabbing it like Drax the Destroyer, pull myself up against it, and inflict wound. The whole table just like, "Oh, damn." And I was like, hang on, I'm not done. At 4th level. And the whole, because that was like, it was already, I think it was like 4d10 or something like that. And then it goes up by, another d10 or so. Every level up you cast it past level 1. So,
like +2, +4, yeah.
Yeah, so man, I just rolled a whole handful of dice, did massive damage, grabbed the bard, pushed off, pulled the bard away from it, and then used my spiritual weapon to hit it right in the middle of the inflicted wound. So, like, swim away now. I can't do that a second time.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it just reminded me of like it was also kind of, wasn't so much underwater, but we had a lot of water like in the area. And this is when I was like a bard for the first time, and they go and tell me, it's like, "Hey, what'd you like to do?" And I had a sword that I use a double weapon, is a double-handed weapon, and they tell me, "All right, roll," and what happens? Nat 0 or natural one, and they're like, "Want to try it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try it one more time." I do it again, same thing. And you're like, both your arms fall off from the possessive force of the sword. And I'm now armless. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then it said, "But because it's the beginning, I'll have you roll one more time." And so I rolled once more. And it said, "Okay, so just for healing." So what they did is they had somebody who was a healer stitch my arms back together. And then I was able to throw up. But somehow, with me having my arms stitched, I was stronger. I was like, wait, from muscle loss. Only in D&D, where you have muscle loss from that and getting your arms completely stitched back on, I was a better bard and a better fighter. I was like, okay, only in D&D, man.
It's magic.
Yeah, and it's like, one arm like this, and like one arm is up higher than the other, but for some reason, if I use the bow and arrow, I can hit it perfectly. It was just all kinds of crazy shit. That's what I love with D&D, though. But
well, and I know they brought out. I was very tempted while I was in Monroe. I went to Books A Million when I got back from my vacation. We went by Books A Million. I got to looking at the D&D section, and man, it was so hard for me not to pick up the what was it, Rise of Vecna? Or
Vecna is a good
that they just released. I wanted to pick that up so bad. I didn't, but I've heard horror stories about Vecna.
Vecna and D&D, yeah.
The Stranger Things thing, and I get it. Like, it's not actually Vecna. It's just what they're putting together. Like, this is as close to D&D as we can get. So obviously, that's Vecna, and that's a Demogorgon.
Well, the one in Dead by Daylight, that's a Vecna. That sumbitch is a Vecna, like an authentic one too.
Yeah.
Like you have
Vecna,
these abilities. You have 4 different abilities. You can just launch off at will and just fuck with the field. And I'm like, yes. that is it. Like you can snap something off, and then someone exposes themselves and screams, and you can just track them immediately.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
my sister is way more into Dead by Daylight. Like I've sat and watched her play it, like almost enough to be like, no, I know how the whole game works. But I just never really got that much into the online games like that. I don't really have the patience for. I guess it's a little too repetitive for my thing.
Yeah. I mean,
like, his game until it got to the point where, like, no, it's just a grind for you to get another piece of equipment that's like 0.1% better than the last one you had.
Yeah, I don't ever pay into those passes, those battle pass systems. That is bullshit.
I just kept bumping up the difficulty on the training rooms. I'd roll in there with Captain America and like shield sling everything to death.
Mm-hmm.
Like eventually they would start dropping like the bruisers and the big scorpion robots and stuff, and they won't last a few seconds because I'm just gonna lock on and tank, 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 dead. Then there's
Yeah,
Thor.
the battle.
With that hammer.
But yeah, dude, those battle passes in those games are shit. They are literally the biggest fucking scam of all time.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I couldn't get excited for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Like, it looked so good when I first started seeing the shots and everything of it, but then, like, man, everything about the game, the battle passes, the season passes, and all that, bro, I just want the game.
Those passes are also the biggest villains because they're trying to get after you. It's just like with the Grand Theft Auto. We talk about those, and then here's a pass where you get like a little bit here and there. It isn't like like Elder Scrolls Online where if you get the passes you actually get benefits in the game. But like when you like GTA, it's just like here's $1 million. If you pay $20 for $1 million, it's just like but that $1 million is just as useless as spending that $20. It's better to find and hustle secret areas.
Yeah.
Like
after a while, like I'm okay with grinding.
Yeah, you keep on the grind, know where to go, and then that's how life is, though.
Oh yeah, but me, Taylor, and Johnny, we know the code when it comes to making GTA money.
Yeah.
Spam the Bogdan job.
Yep.
Spam the Bogdan job.
That's it.
Dude, it's just like in Fable when it first came out. Man, they talked about how immersive it was going to be and all this different stuff that it was going to be able to do and all these deep storyline options it was going to have. Well, it didn't really have all that. But what I did find very early on in the game was the Hob Cave, which is literally an infinite experience farm.
There you go.
Like right out is like an ogre or something you have to fight that regenerates every time you go in or out of the cave. So you beat that and get a nice little chunk, go in the cave, and you literally just go down the hall, clearing everything out, go through the rooms, and rinse and repeat. Man, I literally took about 45 minutes and went up 5 or 6 levels and was just like, great, now I can kill everything.
That's just like Elden Ring when you go into the caves and it's the same monsters over and over again. You just keep going and then building it up.
Mogwin's Palace.
Mogwin's Palace, yes, all that.
I like the small games. It was sort of that How I Met Your Mother glass shatter moment when one of my buddies referred to it as manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. Like it was one of those moments because I was just like, nah, man, I've played those games and they can get kind of ridiculous. And he goes, man, they're just manufactured difficulty. They're made to be that irritatingly hard. Huh.
Yeah, but then once you figure it out and know what to do with it, then it's not that hard.
Bro, when I tell you, one of my buddies, I could have strangled him. First time I ever played Dark Souls. And I'm going through this game, like I just started, I got to like the first second, like the bonfire, and then you walk in and you have to fight, like, what's it, the Avatar demon or something like that? Huge demon, like a buttress for a club. And I got in, ran across to the door, and I was just like, okay, cool, click. Oh, it's locked. Oh, shit. No, what? Like, I came in, the thing attacked me, and it killed me outright. Like, I tried to fight it, and I tried to fight it multiple times.
Wait,
So, I talked
was
to my
the
buddy.
room dark? Was it a blackened room?
No, it was like it had a bunch of jars and stuff to one side. It was just kind of like a big open room with another door on the other side. Very early in the game.
Was it blacked out at all, or like was it really dark in there, or
not really? It was
okay,
just
damn.
It was like the first big creature I ran across, and so I tried fighting it several times, and it murdered me. So I called my buddy up, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what do I got to do to get past this thing?" Like that, because video game logic, that door on the other side is locked until I can beat this thing. So it's murdered me like 20 times now. I've rage quit 3-4 times, and I finally call him up, and he's just like, "Oh no, dude, you just got to keep going and unlock that door, like open the door because it's unlocked, and you can just keep on going, and it'll circle you back around to fight him." And I was like, "Oh, bet." So I go in there, the thing drops, I tuck and roll around it, get to the door on the other side, click, this door is locked. You motherfucker, you lied to me. So I get to fighting the thing again, just trying to do whatever I can. And at one point, it gets that lucky backhand in and knocks me across to the side part of the room through a bunch of those jars that are on the side and into the door I was supposed to go in the entire time that I couldn't see because of the scenery. And I'm just like, he just killed me like 35 times. How did I miss that door? Oh, it's because it's on the other side of like the little jars that are set up that you could break easily. I just never paid attention. I'm too busy tucking and rolling for my life.
Yeah, that's the first thing they tell you in the Elden Ring. Just be like, just tuck and roll until you find something to get. That's usually the. No, I would say the only ones, and I thought it was a meme, but no, it is true. The Lion King and the Nintendo, that one, difficult. Once you get past the first part and with the damn hippo tail and trying to get in, the monkey's toss you the wrong way every time you try to get in.
Man, that was
that's just harder.
There's no real rhyme or reason to it.
No, and then
they threw you in the right direction.
And they're villains too, because you know what? I got the one where I thought it was a special pack where you got like that Aladdin and the Jungle Book. I got the Lion King in full, but I can only play the Game Boy version of Aladdin, and I have to purchase the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin and get both the Game Boy and the Super Nintendo version of the Jungle Book for like $12. And I'm like, I bought the game though for $12 in general.
Yeah, like I honestly like I love the Aladdin games. I don't think I played the Genesis one so much, but the Super Nintendo one I thought was great. I played it through to completion.
Yeah.
Lion King, I'm like you, man. There's only so far I could get before I was like, I'll burn this whole thing down. I'm done with this game.
Oh yeah, no, it's rough. I mean, it's not as dark or as gruesome, but you're trying to catch all the little bugs and everything like that and stay stronger so you can get to at least be the grown-up Simba and shit like that. It was that meme. It was just like kids are like saying, "Dad, Elden Ring's pretty hard." It's like, I will give you $45 if you can beat the Lion King.
Yeah. You finish this game, and I'll buy you your own system.
Yeah.
Oh dear, fuck. No, you know what's even better?
Huh.
You know what would be the worst thing to hold over someone's head? I'll pay off your entire college tuition if you beat Super Meat Boy without dying.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, good luck. And some of these games are just designed for you to know that they hate you.
Yeah, like Batman Forever.
That's how I originally felt when I played Out of This World, because like that was one of the most trial and error games I've ever played. Everything can and wants to kill you.
Yeah.
From the moment you take control, you better start thinking on your feet, because if you don't, you're gonna die.
And it was just like, was it like Batman Forever. That game on Super Nintendo was a pain. One for me as a kid was actually Battletoads Double Dragon. That one was... I would only get so far, and then we get ambushed.
I thought it was the weirdest combination, but then when you look at it, it really worked.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was fun, but it was like... But a lot of the games, though, at the time, not a lot of people really finished them. They only played it until they wanted to go outside and play. That's it.
Yeah.
Until you're bored
or until
enough.
they hit just like, man, I've done this too many times. I'm good.
Yeah.
Or until that one day they come home drunk from the bar and no one's coming to visit them. And they're like, all right, old friend, you plug it in and you finally fucking beat it.
Yeah. It takes the drunken state.
Since I was a kid, man, one level on video games that plagued me, I was never able to get the timing right on it, was Gutsman's stage on Mega Man, which is the very first Mega Man. It's not a long stage at all, but like you probably kill two little enemies, jump up these things, and you've got these little platforms that move back and forth across the railing. And the first one's no problem, but the second one and third one that you have to use to get across to the next part of the stage have these little spots where they'll drop. And like if you're on it when it drops, it will just straight drop you and kill you. So the longest time I could not get the jump right because they had like the second and third one have so many breaks. Man, when I tell you, sitting down with some alcohol in my system and being like, nah, motherfucker, it's been long enough. I'm gonna get through this. And then just drunkenly getting past that part and being like nothing like it.
I know, last time I got super drunk and played a game, I almost got damn near traumatized. It was the first Outlast, and it was a VR one. And I'm sitting there like drunk as shit, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, wait, what the hell? Why is that thing hanging upside down? What is this? Huh? Why am I hearing voices behind me?
Or, you know what's even better? The fact that there's big, naked men chasing you the whole time. And
like my sister to that series of games and games like that, and I was just like, so it's basically just like Trauma, the video game.
Yeah, I mean,
what was the last full of trauma.
There was one. It's like a one simple name, and basically, and it's not really spoiler because it's in the beginning where you shoot your family. Just
you're talking about
it's like a simple name, but I can't remember it.
Madison, Infliction, shit. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember. I know I have the game, and you've seen me play, and I'm trying to remember.
I'm just gonna Google most traumatizing video games to see which one pops up, if that's the one.
Most traumatizing.
Yeah, right in the beginning,
yeah,
you're like, your character's crying. He has a fucking revolver and all that.
Yeah.
Shit. Yes, I played that game, and I fucking forgot the name of it. Okay, yeah, if there's any horror games that drop on the PlayStation 4 or 5, I will likely have them. That's another thing. That's another
I've never been that big on horror. Like some of it really does grab me, but it has to be a specific kind of horror. I'm way more a psychological horror fan.
Oh yeah.
Like I could probably say my favorite horror movie would probably be 1408.
Dude, you'll probably love Monster then. You'll love the manga Monster or the anime because it's psychological horror and it's
it's just that, like with 1408, it's that concept of like, man, this dude walked in there just trying to do. I mean, he's just trying to do his job, but at the same time, he's got psychological problems as it is. But the concept that just the ghosts have you now, and you don't have a choice. Like that whole scene where he gets the phone call, and it's just like you can, you could go ahead and join us, or you can relive that last hour of your life over and over and over again. Like, no, bro, this man just watched his dead daughter come back and fall apart in front of him. Like, no. Like, I get it. I'd have burned the place down too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the game. It wasn't.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up on my PlayStation right fucking now.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but it's just like I just went to the most disturbing video game iceberg and just see it there, and it's not on that list at all. Let's see, disturbing.
Well, there's a fucking Teletubbies video game, so there you go for traumatizing.
It's one of the reasons I'm not sure I'm ready for the kids to watch The Evil Dead yet.
Man, I get it. I didn't watch Evil Dead till I was about 13, 14. My uncle kept, I kept seeing the DVD, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. He's like, you're not ready yet. Not yet.
Yeah, you're not ready for that.
And then by the time I'm like 14.
Evil Dead 2 was a little bit more like campy comedy side to it.
But you can also
Oh, it's called Visage.
Which one?
The game's called Visage.
Yes, that's the one. That's the crazy game right there. No, but Evil Dead 2, you can honestly start with Evil Dead 2 because he makes it back up there, but it kind of seems like he's there for the first time all over again.
Yeah, it's sort of a retelling and a sequel at the same time.
Yeah, and it's just like it throws it off. And
it's actually the third try.
Yeah.
I remember there was a point we sat down and showed the original Evil Dead to my sister-in-law and the guy she was dating at the time. He was totally cool with it. He'd already watched some of the I think he'd watched Army of Darkness and stuff like that. And he knew that it was tied to this. So we sat down watching it. And there's a point where Bruce Campbell walks out of the cabin and he looks one way, he looks back the other, and then when he turns back this way, his buddy that he was out looking for just falls on him. And man, when I tell you my sister-in-law jumped so hard, she almost flipped the couch over.
Yeah.
It's just the build-up.
Right there. Just bloody hands and a blackened face. Just the cover alone. It's just kind of.
Yeah, see.
Unsettling. Yeah, no.
Now I know.
But
as far as like horror movies, I don't like. They're not really much my thing, but horror games.
Yeah.
That's
horror games are like almost like horror books. That like because I mean the games they have their own imagery, but like it gets you, and it's just like horror books and even like music and horror, like King Diamond or stuff like that. Things like that. Like you put it. At least with those ones, you put it in your own mind, and it's that absolute worst fears come to life in with these words and music. And in video games, some of the things do look like things from your nightmares as a youth, and it's just like, wait, how did they get this in a video game?
How did they know?
How did they know that this was what fucked me up for like 3 years?
Right.
But it's like that means that it relates, and a lot of people get so much into it. That's why you talk about like the Outlast and the Visage and like.
When I was younger, coming up, like everybody else was so into Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and Chucky. Yeah. You know the one that I actually like grabbed my attention? Fucking Pennywise.
Yeah. From the book in general, man.
Pennywise. Like, don't you want it? Don't you want it? Yeah. No, you keep your balloon, bro. I'm just going to keep driving.
Hey, George, don't you want it? Don't you want it, Georgie?
That's why I got to give credit to Bill Skarsgård, man. That whole scene, like, what a nice boat. Do you want it back? Like, that whole, oh my God, he was creepy.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I do the dribbling effect when I play Necro, like the dribbling effect. because of the Evil Dead and Pennywise. Like I'll be like dribbling something really just grotesque.
Yeah.
Kind of like I'm ready to just tear into someone. Dude, that scene.
I love the fact that like the eye trick that Pennywise does in the newer ones, like that's not CGI or anything.
Nah.
Like, Scarecrow can actually just do that, and it creeped the hell out of Bill Hader.
Yeah.
You're like, so they do all that in production, right? And he just like, what? You mean this? And moved one of his eyes up, and he's like, oh.
All right. Where I have to drop off.
What's up?
I have a situation right now, that's why I have to drop off. But
Okay.
It's been killer talking with you two. And yes, Pennywise, like you said, the book, the whole alien thing, yes. and the fucking turtle.
There are things.
Yeah, but
we have actually hit the hour and a half mark. I think we did pretty good for our first episode. We talked about a lot of. We will be back in 2 weeks with episode 2, and we'll probably have a good old name for that and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your new favorite person, Wilson Fisk. And with me, as always, has been Reverend Crow, Doomsayer, and remember, it's not about you. It's about SME and the betterment of SME.
Believe in the betterment.
Believe in the betterment. Good night, you sexy people.